I met the love talker one eve in the glen. He was handsomer than any of our handsome young men. His eyes were blacker than the sloe, his voice sweeter far than the crooning of old Kevin's pipes beyond in Coolnagar. I was bound for the milking with a heart fair and free. My grief, that bitter hour drained the life from me. I thought him human lover, though his lips on mine were cold, and the breath of death blew keen on me within his hold. I know not what way he came, no shadow fell behind, but all the sighing rushes swayed beneath a fairy wind. The thrush ceased its singing, a mist crept about. We two clung together with the world shut out. Beyond the ghostly mist I could hear my cattle low, the little cow from Ballina, clean as driven snow, the dun cow from Kerry, the roan from Inisheer. Oh, pitiful their calling and his whispers in my ear. His eyes were a fire, his words were a snare. I cried my mother's name, but no help was there. I made the blessed sign, then he gave a dreary moan. A wisp of cloud went floating by, and I stood alone. Running ever through my head is an old-time rune. Who meets the love talker must weave her shroud soon. My mother's face is furrowed with the salt tears that fall, but the kind eyes of my father are the saddest sight of all. I have spun the fleecy lint, and now my wheel is still. The linen length is woven for my shroud fine and chill. I shall stretch me on the bed where a happy maid I lay. Pray for the soul of Moirog at dawning of the day. Well, hello, fellow traveler. I'm glad you found your way here wandering off into the alfalfa again, because I do need to give you a heads up about a particular fairy that is looking for its next subject. And it's coming in with Neptunian energy at the helm. And I'm talking about the Gonkana, or the love talker, as they're also known. A fairy that is part of the leprechaun family. And if you remember, a ways back, I did warn you about on the road to the Stone of Destiny, as you are trying to achieve that elusive gold of the Tuatha De Danann, you do have to be aware of the leprechauns on the scene. They can be tricksy characters. This particular fairy, though, the Gonkana, is a loner. They're not usually found within a group. And they also like to find others who wander alone. They are quite the charmer. They are rather easy on the eyes. And they have a very intoxicating quality to them. You could say that you could become drunk off the energy that they emit. Their pheromones could put a spell of glamour over you, where you buy every word they say, even though you know you may be in the process of being deceived or lured into something that could be a trap. It's very hard to resist, especially if you allow them to transmit their intoxicating force, which is done through the power of their touch. Intimate contact is how the Glockener is able to exercise its control. You may know this character as the Glockener if you are familiar with Froude's fairies. But if we're looking at the tradition of fairy and going to the roots, it's known as the Gonkana, okay? Same energy. It's an energy that works with smoke and mirrors. It uses disguises. It puts on the face that you want to see to make you receptive. And it may come off very unassuming, and that is part of its power and the way that it finds an end. You see, once it wears away your inhibitions, then your goose is cooked. they will steal your heart. And when they've gotten their fill of harvesting your energy, they will leave you, withdrawing all affection, all attention, and that touch that becomes very difficult to forget. Once you are touched by the Gankana, it leaves its mark. It leaves an imprint on your soul. And it's quite dangerous, actually, because this energy really carries the same kind of charge as an incubus or a succubus. And there is an energy coming through here that has that spirit of the Gankana with them. It can come through the masculine, but it can also come through a masculine that's being worked by the Gankana to act out of their vices and to be lured toward a feminine who carries the succubus energy. Either way, the Gankana will get its fill. And this is quite a tricksy fairy, or you could say the darker side of fairy. And it's interesting, there's some correlations here with kind of crossroads energy, because the Gankana is known to like to toke on his pipe. And that really does remind me of another kind of crafty character that you can find at the crossroads when we look at Papa Legba, who also has a pipe. So there's this quality of smoke, you know, smoke and mirrors, haziness. There's a haziness that comes in with this energy. It is very Neptunian. And it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense because currently we have Neptune going retrograde in Aries. And that started to come in on the 7th of this month. And what the result of this retrograde in Aries is about is really giving us an opportunity to have another look at a dream of ours or a desire of ours, a deep longing of ours, or in some cases for those who really have on the rose-colored glasses, that happily ever after to your fairy tale, the story that you've created in your mind about what something is going to ultimately be. Only now, with Neptune going retrograde and this under review, there's the realization that something's lost a bit of its shine. It's not such a glimmery thing as it used to be. And you may be recognizing that once was quite sparkly and magnetic, something that was really drawing you in is starting to appear more like a lure, and you're a bit apprehensive, not wanting to get hooked. This is the time when you're starting to see that maybe all that glitters isn't gold. Maybe there's something that you've invested in that's actually fool's gold. And you're starting to question yourself. Is this the dream that I still dare to dream? The mask, the facade on whatever this is, whatever you have labeled your end-all be-all, is starting to crack. And it's allowing the haze to slowly dissipate. This is not something that happens overnight. It happens very subtly, slowly, and it's meant to happen at this precise speed. This is not something that can be rushed, because if you were to see the true face of something with a big reveal, a sudden uncloaking of the energy, it would be too destabilizing. It would be too shocking. There's a need to get acclimated to what is being revealed here. Or another way you could look at it would be, you need to get your sea legs. You need to get your bearings. So you really understand the waters that you are moving through. These are uncharted waters with Neptune at the helm. It goes deeper though. It goes much deeper, because on July 26th, just 3 days before the full moon in Aquarius, we have Saturn retrograde into Pisces. And this is when we're revisiting that unusual energy around the need to break down the boxes. And at the same time, how do you break down the boxes when that's the structure you're familiar with, when it's necessary to lay down a new foundation? And how do you build a foundation on something that is constantly mutating? We're looking at the quality of water here. How do you build upon the water? How do you build a vessel that has the strength to be able to have that foundation on the water? And of course, we're looking at you as that vessel. You have to be stabilized enough to navigate this territory. But it's also any dream you have, any desire you have, anything you're trying to build upon here. This is when the foundation of your fantasy is going to clash with a strong dose of reality. It's like the ocean pulling back so you can see the sea floor. You can see what's at the bottom of everything. And that's going to be pulling back for a while, okay? This retrograde energy for both Neptune and Saturn is going to go clear into December. So this is not about you acting very quickly on what you're starting to make out of the haze. Quite the contrary. This is more about really allowing yourself to acclimate to what you're dealing with, so you can move with intelligence, so you can recognize what's a hook and what is the real deal here. It's very important. Intention is not enough to navigate this. You can have the best intentions, and in this climate, it can pave the road to hell. You do need to be mindful of this because of the seductive nature of the energy that is at the forefront here. You need to look at practicalities. It's time to get real. We can't tell ourselves soft lies anymore. We can't deceive ourselves about the reality of our situations, about what we're navigating, who we're dealing with, even in relation to ourselves. And it's an awakening process. It's an unfurling process. It's happening now, because it's necessary for us to see this in order to soften around the protective barrier we've placed between our experience and really being rested in our hearts. And it's necessary to see the truth here. So we're in this for a while. You're not going to make any judgment calls right off the bat. And it may take time in some cases, okay? Not in all, but in some cases, you may be realizing that you invested in a facade. There's nothing real about it. It's all veneer. And that's why you need to wait and make sure that you get your stability, get your sea legs, okay? Because after you get to the bottom of things, right? And you see what's hanging out down on that ocean floor, what happens when the ocean pulls all the way back and you can see the floor? Well, that's building up a momentum. And that momentum can come in as a tsunami. It can come in as a wave of change. And tsunamis bring that energy of a wake-up call. And that's why it's so important. The foundation is so important right now, because you are getting aligned with your North Node. You are getting aligned with the true dream that you're meant to dream into being, that you're meant to build the foundation for. But in order to do that, you got to get down to the bedrock of things, and you have to get through what may seem slippery, what can be entangling, what can be confusing, disorienting, and addicting, alluring, intoxicating. You see, because After the Gankana leaves you devoid of its touch, its time, its attention, its care, the words it speaks, those words of love and dreams and hopes and fantasy, the pillow talk, after the Gankana has had its fill and leaves you devoid of that, it's known to have a poisonous effect on the subject of its focus. And when it goes cold and rejects and withholds, it can turn someone who used to have a lot of stability into a junkie looking for a fix. It can make you infected with obsession. It can have you spiraling into madness, where it can become quite dicey, where you may crave an end to life itself just to be released from the longing. It's quite an intense energy, actually. Faerie doesn't play. So many people misunderstand Faerie. Faerie comes with a lot of deep, fierce lessons, especially when it's around alchemizing the shadow. And this is the lesson that's wanting to come through. You need to be aware that this energy does seek out those who also wander alone. When you're alone, it can be perceived that you don't have support. But we're a different kind of collective here. We're a different kind of collective here at Broad Coven. We're used to going out on a limb. We're used to thumbing our nose at the shoulds. We're used to standing in the strength of our independence, going our own way, going left when everybody says we need to go right. We don't follow the herd. We have a bit of that goat inside of us. We're resilient. We know how to find a way around slippery challenges. And this is no exception. And if you do want to work with a little bit of work cunning and tapping into that old-timey medicine, you could make an amulet of rowan and mistletoe, bind it together with an iron nail, and wind it with a blood-soaked thread, your blood, of course. And the Gankana will have absolutely no effect on you. But you have a character here. You have a character here that has this kind of spirit upon them. Now, you could be a man and you're drawn to a particular siren. And that siren's call that you're having a difficult time ignoring, what's compelling you forward is the Gankana, throwing all sense out the door because you just want a view. You want a view into that reality tunnel. What would it be like to go to the depths with that siren? But you have to remember the siren call lures and it drowns. Be aware of what enchants in spaces, wild places where you wander alone. Landscapes where you're not familiar with the territory, because that's when you could come into contact, maybe even with a stranger, could be somebody you're not familiar with. Don't get taken in by the music of their words. And if you hear alluring music wafting through the woods, you also might want to have your hackles up, because that can come hand in hand with the energy of the Gankana, right? So I want to get
a message here. And I want to keep it quite simple and succinct, but I am working with my angels and imps because this is an energy that does require us to be able to navigate some shadow and to be able to stay rooted, have that strong foundation as certain self-deceptions, illusions, and even glamour wears off. Is this a territory for this kind of energy to come in where there's spiritual work at the forefront? For those of you who travel that path, absolutely. There could be a lot of glamour at play. You could be working through something where there's been quite a glamour cast over the situation. And I think that's why the Hall of Mirrors was coming through and the polishing of the reflection. You might need to get through the haze that's been cast on the mirror, something that's been projected so you can actually see the accurate reflection. Also accurately see yourself. Because see, you can really lose yourself with the energy of the Gankana and the way they weave their words and cast their spell with all that you want to hear, the way that they can grab a hold of your heart and soon have you completely abandoning your wisdom. You need your wiles here. It's important as we move through the Neptunian territory. And it is a review. It is a review, and it's going to be a little bit of a balancing act for a while. Kind of like when you're learning how to serve, you know? It's about the foundation of how you get up on the board. You do that in stages. That's what this is like, okay? Just remember, if you take the time to lay the foundation, if you learn how to serve, and you don't just try to go out there and just jump on a board when you haven't even become acclimated to that environment, when that big wave of change comes, instead of being wiped out by it, you'll be able to ride it. And it will take you all the way up to your North Node. It will activate your dreams. So your dream is happening now. It's underway. But remember, when we're in a dreamscape, it's very easy to get caught up in illusion and to sort of head into the fantasy realm a bit, where we do forget that it's so necessary to root the dream in reality and to not ignore those things that do put your hackles up and make you go, I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready. I'm ready for this. If I trust this person, if I trust this situation, this is key. And I think there's something coming through here over the next 72 hours that's going to give you a little bit of a window view into this. Queen of Cups. Queen of Cups seeking a moment of redemption. A moment of redemption from the devil who bested them. If I had to equate the Gankana, this fairy, with a particular card in the tarot, it would be the devil. It does work with that quality. Just being in your energy enough to entice you to come closer out of curiosity. And remember, this is a looker. This is somebody easy on the eyes, or this opportunity is easy on the eyes, but I really do feel it's coming through somebody who wants to gain access to your energy. And when I'm talking about your energy, I am talking about your sacral chakra, Svadhisthana. They need access to your creative power. And this energy does tend to work more with seduction, gaining access through intimacy. So I do feel that there could be somebody here that feels like their heart has already been stolen away. may be having a hard time shaking a particular devil, can't get this person out of their mind, can't stop reliving the experience of when they last had intimate contact, wanting redemption, recognizing that maybe they were sleeping with the enemy. And so there's somebody here that feels a little bound to this energy and is looking for justice, hoping for rebirth and renewal, maybe feeling like they're running low on energy. You know, that's the thing. If your energy gets harvested, it can really affect your will. And that's how this energy targets. It wants to feed off of your will. It's a soul shrinking kind of energy. This is somebody that used to be put on such a high pedestal that when they take that fall from grace in your eyes, oh, it is quite a fall. It leaves a reverberation when it lands, a reverberation that sends shockwaves through your foundation. And it reveals so much that wasn't seen before. Not only about what's going down right now, but about the past and what your future looks like now. Do you still want to dance with this devil? This devil may come back around. And you need to be aware of this because something is being illuminated for you. This is how Neptune is serving us to give us clarity of judgment through being in the hangman position, not being able to act just yet because the picture is still hazy. It's coming into view, but getting clearer by the day. It's an awakening process, an unfolding process of transformation. You have desire to know. You have desire to know what is going on with this devil. What is this devil up to? Are they thinking about me? Are they still feeling me the way I'm feeling them? What are they up to? Am I going to hear from them again? I want you to know that's the hook. That is the hook. If you find yourself consistently fixating on somebody whose energy is no longer present with you, that is the hook. That is that energy transmitting. That is that glamour casting. It's trying to draw you closer. As soon as you start to open up your consciousness to it, there's an in. It works on your mind to drive you into madness so you lose your sense of reason. And if you lose your sense of reason, well, then all doors are open. And when I'm talking about all doors are open, I'm meaning to all of your chakras. So this is something to be mindful of here. You're in charge. You know how to navigate the dark. Obviously, you dealt with this character. So pay attention. Pay attention because this is an initiation. And this initiation is going through this Neptunian territory. It's testing you. Do you have the foundation to pull that diamond out of the void? Do you? To pull through the true dream that is meant to be, that you are ready to really root in your reality? It all depends on this, because everything can be lost. It is that serious. And it's not just something that is a personal energy here. It's a macrocosmic energy. It applies to the Aquarian dream as well. And there's lots of strange bedfellows out there. Lots of strange bedfellows when we look at what's going on the worldwide stage. And that unveiling will continue to happen. It will continue to unfold through December. We will enter 2027 with an entirely different perspective about where we're going, not only individually, but also as a global community. There's something really potent that's happening here. And the best way to navigate this territory is not going to be to rush for the resolution, but to be very present and maintain your focus. Your focus, not pressure, is the key. Anything that is pressuring you is connected to this kind of energy. That's a clue. It's going to say, live for the moment, man. You only live once, man. That's right. And that brief, fleeting moment of ultimate ecstasy, riding that high, will quickly bottom out if you get suckered in by this. So it's so important here. You may want to know what's up with the liars. You may want to know what's up with those people who are scheming. You may want to have every detail about the bad spirits they set upon you. And that's the hook. That is the hook. I'm telling you, it is a great disservice to stay focused on what's going to happen to this devil, whatever you've labeled that devil in your life. What's going to happen to this person who did me wrong? That is the hook. You're already opening your energy for them to feed upon. It's no joke, man. I really want to convey this. It's like coming through in such a strong way that it is so important for the collective to detach from worrying about others getting the justice that they deserve. And by that, I mean the rough edge of justice, so you can be redeemed. You need to work on your own redemption. You need to take your own soul back. You need to take your own power back. They don't have charge over that. Nobody has charge over your destiny. And if you believe in destiny swapping, you've already willingly given your power away. So wake up from the spell and call your power back and stop feeding this with your focus. It is to your detriment. It leaves you wide open for manipulation. It's so essential to get this memo, man. So essential. Justice will be yours, but this is a very testing territory. Remember, you were forged in the fire of the Master Maker. You were forged in the fire of the devil that burned you. And it's that strength you gained through that experience that will be your redeeming factor. You are navigating the darkness, but already the light is building, and you do have luck on your side. So don't cast your pearls before swine by fixating on this. You need to take every one of those pearls of Persephone that you gained from the deep dive in the underworld to use to guide you forward in wisdom, with clarity, empowered within your own energy, and not allowing it to be siphoned by directing your focus toward this. Focus on your foundation. It's everything right now. It's everything. And this message came through so strongly, so potently. I knew it was really essential that I delivered this tonight, because very soon here, we will be moving into Mercury direct, but these planetary energies are still retrograde. And so we need to be aware of this. The full moon will come in on the 29th. And it does come in after we already got Mercury direct, okay? But there's still the post shadow, okay? So it's like, let the illumination come and let it start to dissipate the haze so you can see your way through the portal of transformation that gets you to the other side, to your rebirth. So you're not still hanging out there in the underworld gathering your pearls, but you're actually able to rise up out of that. And then get acclimated to the new surroundings. Figure out, how do I build on what is shifting here, mutating here? You'll be able to get your sea legs because it's not mutating rapidly. And yet at the same time, the motion forward is vastly progressive. You're moving light years ahead than you can see right now. But it's happening very much on the inner planes with how you're getting recalibrated and what you're seeing accurately now. It's changing your moves, but it's one step at a time. That's how you build a foundation mindfully, brick by brick. You don't just slap something down and hope it'll stick. I mean, you may have done that before, but that won't work this time. Not with the big wave of change coming in with the age of Aquarius. We need a new foundation in place here. And it's so essential we can get back to our hearts. But how can we get back to our hearts if we're bound up in all this? Bound up in reflecting on the devil that we feel bested us. You know how you best the devil? By seeing through the deception. And then it can't seduce you any longer. By not giving it the attention that it desires through seduction, through luring you in, enticing you, baiting you, trying to poke at you. Get present. If you are truly present, nothing can affect you. Nothing can affect you. It can't stick. There's no way for it to stick. There's no need for a return to senders. There's no need to do any kind of spiritual battle. There's no need. It's inner mastery. It's morphing by the nanosecond. You're always playing in the quantum field, even as you're here in 3D reality, in this physical body. But you can only access that potential, that infinite potential, if you're present in this moment, right here, right now. And it was 35:44 on the clock. See, this is a building block for alchemy, manifestation, materializing the dream, that diamond that you're going to pull out of the void that is going to make you impenetrable to any kind of seductive, alluring, manipulative, cloying kind of influence here that just wants to feed off of you. You can't let this ride your energy anymore. You got to deny it the focus. It's so essential. So essential. And I feel this really is the core message that wants to come through. But let me give one more word coming in here from Faerie. You see? It will lead you to the depths only to drown you. It will lure you in with vanity. It will make you feel like you're the sparkliest thing, even though the reality is converse. You're the sparkly thing that they desire, not the other way around. It's not that you are lured to them. It's the opposite. They're lured to you. It's a projection. You may feel that they are really dynamic or very charming or really desirable, but it's because they've already captured your attention. So they're taking a little bit of your shine and they're using it like fool's gold to draw you in. But you are the glimmery thing, not the other way around. It's like using your own energy against you. And it does play to vanity. Do be aware of this. Do be aware of the way that it knows if it can appeal to your ego, it can get it in. Because it was successful with that the last time. Okay? Even if this energy is coming in a new form, it's still the spirit of the thing. It's a similar energy that you have already contended with. And it's so important that you really are able to understand the voice of the waters at this time. That's why it's so essential for you to really get in touch with what you're feeling, what you're intuiting, to not ignore that, because that's what's going to be your guide through these waters. It's not going to be anything that comes from outside of you. It's all within you. It's going to be about you being able to read where your own energy is at. That's going to help you navigate this territory. And this character here, whatever guise it comes in, it can make your waters rough. It can cause storms at sea that can capsize your vessel, that can bring it down to the depths. And that is what you really need to be aware of. Okay? 8 of Cups. This is your opportunity to distance yourself from this influence. This is your opportunity to make a break from the jailer. Don't go and hand it the key. Don't go and hand it the key. You're getting a key here. You're getting the key to your freedom. And the key is to recognize that you are the source of your own redemption. You are the redeemer. Not this character here. Not you seeing this character get punished. Not wanting to see a situation righted from your past and having that take up all your focus. It's feeding off of you. It's weakening you. And you may not realize it, but you're casting yourself in the role of victim when you do that. And you're not a victim. You're not. That's a projection. Don't own their definition of who you are. Okay? Let's do a cut of the deck. Let's see what we've got here. Yes, Empress. You've stored up a lot of knowledge here. You got what it takes to make it through some desolate territory. I almost see this as you taking the long way home on that ocean floor. You're not afraid to brave the swell. You know you got what it takes to ride it. You're bursting with creative power here. That's the power they're hungry for. So stay focused on this power that you're building here, building at your center, and what it's ready to birth into your reality, so you don't cut off that birth before it's time. You're going to find where treasure's hidden. You're going to have your answers about the past, where you are right now, and prophecy of what's to come. Not through them, not through whatever that is. It's within you. It's awakening within you. And it is your redemption, your way through. So don't take the bait. Don't get lured into a battle by what's hanging out submerged here, waiting to draw you into those murky depths. You've already digested this. There is no fight here. There is no spiritual warfare. I don't care if somebody is sitting in a dark room, calling in demons, chanting your name and focusing on a picture of you and marking you as the one who's going to receive all their ill will. If you're present and you don't allow an end to the energy, and if your energy's right and you're vibing high, it can't touch you. It cannot touch you. It can't. It can't. You have to give it that power. You have to have fear. You have to have doubt in yourself. You have to be in a position where you are able to even ingest the projections. Don't let this touch you. Remember, it's Its power is in how it can touch you. And that goes beyond just physically. Because if somebody's able to worm their way into your consciousness, that's a way of touching you too. Okay? These forces that are working on this level in this manipulative way are in the process of being overthrown. But just like they worked on you subtly, wouldn't you think that they're going to get caught up the same way? Subtly, imperceptibly. Before they know it, the ground will open up and swallow them whole. The very ground that they once stood upon so strongly, claiming their spot, claiming their authority, their position, it will crumble beneath them. We're going to see this happen on a macrocosmic level too. Within the clergymen, within the politicians. There's a lot of structures that are going to be rocked to the core. And where you feel that something that was truly yours, charged to you, got away from you, a dream that you felt compelled to reach for because it came direct from spirit to the deepest place of your soul, you haven't lost anything. You'll see that. What's caused it to appear to be distanced from you or taken from you is your focus. Your focus on what you think intercepted it. You may have had a moment of weakness. You may have given away your power. You may have been lured in by seduction or flattery. And in that moment, your own sense was overridden. You lost your mind a bit. You were caught up in the moment, in the spontaneity, the heat of it, the passion of it. But now clarity is coming in. Clarity is coming in. So we can be grateful. We can be grateful for Saturn in that regard. Because Saturn can take what's murky and help us figure out a clear way forward. A clear way forward that has not only the strength of the foundation, but enough flexibility to be able to account for this ever-changing climate that we're moving through. Pretty potent energy. I want to get one of these oracle cards here, just one, to give us a single point of focus to begin rooting in the now over these next 72 hours. I'm not going to look at the baseline energy. I'm not going to pull a bunch of cards out with shuffle. I'm just going to pick one card out of this deck and let that be the single point of focus for us that will support us in seeing through this illusion and truly stepping into our empowerment here, our point of redemption in the present. Bring it on through. One single point of focus to hold up to the building of the full moon in Aquarius, please. Some things are shuffling around right now. See? intuition. Pour into yourself. Make sure that you're balancing both the solar and lunar energy. Yes, it's important to take steps at this time. It's important to have a focus and start to take action. A practice can be so beneficial for that. We brought this in, having some kind of practice that really does allow you to evoke a sense of discipline and drive and will. That can be anything that really speaks to you, tempering you through this practice. It can be a craft, it can be your art, it can be meditation, it can be some kind of training, it can be yoga, okay? Ruminate on this just a little bit over the next 72 hours and consider, what is a practice that I can really pour myself into over the next week leading up to the full moon, so I can really stay focused and get in touch with what I'm feeling, because that's so necessary for intuition. You have to be in your body in order to be able to really be in touch with what you're feeling. And when we're in our head, we can tell ourselves a whole lot of stories about why we don't want to feel what we're feeling. And that's why it's important to kind of go beyond that madness of the mind and instead really just get into the feeling nature. And nothing gets you more into what you're feeling than to have some kind of practice that really brings you into the moment, into your physical experience. You know, art does that. You know, you're playing your guitar, you're making music, you're writing a song, you're writing your novel, you're working on your welding skills. You know, when you're doing that, you're very present. You have to be present. You can't be here, there, yesterday, someplace in the future. You have to be right now. It's also where all the brilliance comes through. It may be that's where your diamond comes through. That is your dream of tomorrow. It may come through for you in a very unassuming way as you're doing something just to regain your focus, to really harness your energy. You know? When you're doing yoga, you're benefiting your body, but you're also coming into total energetic alignment. You're also elevating your consciousness. So there's so much going on there that really roots you in the present, and you're tapping directly into source. You're able to draw source down. It's easier to navigate tricky territory like that. So there's something about this, you know, and we know that to enter the waterway, we have to be in that space of openness, receptivity. So it's really like bringing the balance through of the solar and lunar energy through tapping into what we're feeling and tapping into the intuition through activity. So see if you can create a little space for this over the next 72 hours to just pick something for a week. It doesn't have to be major. It can be a simple 5-minute practice just to really anchor it in actually putting something into motion rather than just having a good intention. Okay? So essential here. This is what's going to spark the change. And Blue Lotus is very much, it's sensual, but it's also a nervine kind of energy too. So this is really allowing all of those holding patterns that have been in place energetically because of the cellular memory of these experiences we've been through. This allows us to get out of that fight or flight, you know, kind of response where we can move more into that spontaneous flow that's so necessary. Again, meditation is excellent for this, and you can do meditation in motion. You can do meditation on a hike and really get embodied with your hike. Notice every movement of your muscles and really pay attention to the rhythm of your breath. There's so many ways to evoke a meditative quality. So some of you may do better with like walking meditations, okay? But there is some gift that's going to come through this if you engage in this, that's going to spark a very necessary change for you, that's going to give you a key, that's going to facilitate you moving through a door of opportunity that is going to start to get you on a course correction, okay? Because there's a little bit of, you've been moving through a little bit of haze, so you haven't been quite sure where to direct your steps. This will allow you to actually enter the waterway where you can start to move into that flow instead of feeling like, you know, you're kind of experiencing these blockages here. There is an Ace of Cups coming in here. And this is coming in with the energy of the sun and the moon. So this is really about bringing those solar, lunar energies, the active, the receptive, into balance. So make sure that you are creating that space. If you've been hibernating, if you've been really kind of lazy and you've been spending a lot of time just sort of checked out, well, it's kind of time to wake up a little bit. Time to get back out into life again. Time to start taking some action. You might want to work with Blue Lotus. It's really beautiful. Very, very feminine, but also has a bit of the masculine there too. You know, if you think about the lotus, it's rooted in the earth, but it rises up out of the mud and it unfurls its petals to open up to the radiant light. So this kind of energy can be very helpful. The color blue, throat chakra, okay? So you might want to work with Vishuddha, the throat chakra, a little bit here. And some of you are vocalists. Maybe you need to use your voice more, and that's essential. So there might be something you're working on creatively, or maybe you want to work with mantra or kirtan, you know. This could be coming through for some of you, right? So intuition, going within, okay? Going within, but rooting within through some kind of outward practice, you know, taking an action. 5533, that will turn the wheel of fortune and bring through the assistance, the synchronicities, and the communication that you need to be able to make a definitive choice that's going to free you from these crossroads. And from there, you begin to dream your true dream into being. Godspeed.